Monday Night Raw. And man, let me tell you something. The main event was off the chisane. I mean, just off the chisane. I mean, whew. I'll try my best to describe it at all, and but man, nothing more needs to be said about that. But I'm gonna go for it anyways, because it is Monday, March 10th, 2025, and this is Matt's World Wrestling with Comics, Hot Topic Monday. I am your host, Matthew Burris, where it is my world, and you all just live in it. And also, as some of you know who've been following me on Instagram, I have not been eating meat. I gave up meat for Lent, and yeah, I've gone almost a week without meat, and yeah, pretty good. Eating a lot of Boca burgers, some plant fish, peanut butter and jelly. I'm also eating vegetables. Don't worry, I'm eating vegetables, and I'm also exercising. I didn't exercise actually today, because I woke up late. But I am going to exercise tomorrow, so I'm getting back on that bike. And so far, it's been pretty good. And now, having said all that, we're going to get into Monday Night Raw. I actually missed the first 17 minutes of it because I was, had to do my grocery shopping. Yep, got me some groceries. I forgot to get milk, though, so I will be getting milk. And I also got this little baby today. Black Canary, Best of the Best. Issue number 4. Can't wait to read it. I mean, I read a little bit of it on my way here, on the train, but it was still I gotta read the whole thing. I gotta read it from beginning to end. These best of the best this best of the best storyline is just awesome. Like Black Canary and Lady Shiva are just beating the holy shit out of each other, man. Just like Punk and Rollins did tonight. But anyways, I missed the first 17 minutes of Monday Night Raw due to a lot of shopping. But I managed to see when Gunther put Jay Uso in a submission. Yeah, put him in a sleeper hold. I did find out later that Jay Uso beat Grayson Waller, which was good. So this is really starting to heat up, man. I mean, the road to WrestleMania is really starting to heat up, man. I'm telling you. And also throughout the night, they were showing highlights of cage matches from the past in Madison Square Garden. In fact, they even had the one with Bruno Sammartino versus Ivan Koloff. And I found this out today that it was actually the first televised steel cage match. Yeah, it was the first ever televised steel cage match. Yeah, it was live, and it it happened on HBO. Yeah, this is the early days of HBO, 1975, home box office. This is when they started out broadcasting boxing and then also movies as well. It's like, wow, even pro wrestling was on HBO back in the day. Amazing. Well, you learn something new every day. So then we went on to Logan Paul. He actually beat AJ Styles to the punch, coming out to the ring, trying to call him out, and brought in Andrew Schultz. Yeah, podcaster. And Andrew Schultz was saying, oh, I'm here for the cage match, and I'm here to see AJ Styles. Nobody's here to see you, Logan. He said, this is New York City. This is a real city, and we want real wrestlers. And I was just like, yeah. I mean, there are definitely some old school WWF fans and in there. I know that. And then Logan brought him into the ring, was about to annihilate him, and then AJ, sorry, had a lot of juice and soda. And AJ Styles came out, hit the phenomenal forearm, and Logan Paul retreated like a little bitch. And AJ was like, "Come on back. Well, this is New York City." And now we're getting, um, I mean, we are going to get AJ Styles and Grayson Waller. It hasn't been made official yet, but we don't know where this is leading to, and this is going to be a great high flying match between these two. I mean, Logan Paul has not had a bad match. I mean, say what you will about his personality or whatever. I mean, personally, I think he's cool. I mean, he's done MMA, he's done boxing and professional wrestling, and he's really dedicated to pro wrestling. And since coming to WWE, he has not had a bad match. I mean, he just hasn't had a bad match. I mean, this guy for sure is going to be WWE champion. You know, he. I mean, it's not a matter if, it's a matter of when at this point. It's just a matter of when. So then, anyways, moving on. They also showed a whole bunch of other celebrities. They had Fabulous there, Fabolous. They had Amanda Serrano. I hope I pronounced that right. Yep, the boxer. Her and Katie Taylor. They're gonna have a fight. They're gonna have a boxing match on Netflix. That will be July 11th. Yep, that's going to be July 11th on Netflix, and I cannot wait for that. I am going to, listen, despite what my mom says, I am going to have a fight party, okay? I will fight my mom tooth and nail in order to have a fight party at my house, for that, because those two on the undercard of Tyson and Paul, man, those two had a great boxing match, and I want to see, and I really want to see this, this trilogy end, and I mean, that's one of those fights where, you got to get some, some food and you got to get some friends. You need food and friends. It's a food and friends fight. So, also Freddie Roach was there. They had a UFC fighter, I forget his name, who also works with, Freddie Roach. Actually, he's a boxer. Actually, sorry, my mistake. He's a boxer, and he trains under Freddie Roach, and he's going to be fighting at Madison, at the theater at Madison Square Garden, um, in a few months there. Also, they had a rapper there. I forget his name. He's one of the rappers I don't really know, but yeah, they also Miss Peppermint was there. I saw Miss Peppermint there in the audience too. So, yeah, one of my faves from RuPaul's Drag Race, and so, anyways, we had the tag team tornado match. LWO, Rey Mysterio Jr. and Dragon Lee versus the New Day, Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods, and it was a good match. There was one cool table spot that Dragon Lee did with Xavier Woods, which was good. I mean, there was no blood or anything, but it was a pretty good street fight. And then we saw a guy in a luchador mask, and he had an Alpha Academy mask on, and of course he does the whole thank you. He says thank you in Spanish, and then he runs off, and then I mean, we all know that that was Chad Gable. We all know it's Chad Gable, and then he comes in there with the same. Later on backstage, he's being interviewed by Jackie Redmond, and then it turns out they see another guy in the mask getting, arrested. I mean, clearly, he has somebody covering for him. I mean, we're not stupid, you know. But they're going with that whole thing, so yeah. I mean, this is definitely going to lead towards a match between him and Ray Phoenix at WrestleMania. Either him or Rey Mysterio. I don't know which ones, but it's definitely going to lead to a match at WrestleMania, probably. And then we had Io Sky come out for an interview. Her and Bianca Belair, they were there with Michael Cole, and then of course, oh wait, before that, we had Raquel Rodriguez beat Bailey. So now Raquel is the number one contender for Lyra Valkyrie's Women's Intercontinental Championship. I mean, I'm still holding out on like Becky Lynch coming back. I mean, there's a rumor about Becky Lynch, and I'm gonna get to that later, but we'll see what happens down the line. But anyways, with with Bianca and Io, and then Rhea Ripley comes out, saying like, "Oh, you had no business being there," and talking about how Bianca should handle her business with Jade and Naomi, and they were getting each other's faces, and they both pushed Io Sky, like Io, was trying to break it up, and then Rhea pushed her away, and then Bianca pushed her away, and then Io just snapped. She finally had enough, and then bitch slapped Rhea Ripley. Then goes to Bianca, bitch slap, and she just left. So, yeah, they're gonna do a triple threat match. Yeah, it's gonna be a triple threat match. So it looks like we're not gonna get Becky versus Rhea Ripley, which is kind of a little shame because I really want to see the two of them go at it again. But yeah, it looks like we're heading towards a triple threat match, and if it is a triple, I mean, it is going to be a triple threat match, but Bianca's still going to win. I mean, they're going to put the belt back on Bianca. I mean, it's time for her to win a singles title again. It's time for her to be women's world champion again, I think. I mean, I'm sure she'll give Leah a rematch, and we'll see her and Rhea, fight each other, down the line. I mean, I wish it was Bianca and Rhea at WrestleMania, but it is what it is. And then finally, we had the Steel Cage match. Yes. Oh man, the Punk and Rollins, they went at it. I mean, it really looked like a real fight. I mean, neither one of them tried to like really escape the cage. I mean, they just wanted to. They not only wanted to pin each other, they wanted to destroy each other. I mean, well, in fact, one point in the match, Rollins teased Punk. He was like, he opened the cage door. He's like, "Hey, come on, you want to come through the door? Go ahead, go ahead." And Punk, he stood up the middle finger. He was like, "Fuck you." And they just went at it. The only thing I didn't like is that Netflix, it went to black screen as it did that. I was like, "Ah, damn it, Netflix. What the fuck? What the fuck were you thinking?" And then Punk did the same thing to Rollins, and Punk was like, "Oh, come on, come on," and Rollins just went, "Fuck you." And again, the screen went to black. Oh, Netflix, what are you doing? Yeah, what are you doing? And so the two of them, they just went at each other, just throwing hands. And Punk, even at one point, did three elbow drops. Yeah, three Macho Man Randy Savage elbow drops in a row to Rollins, and he still kicked out. You know, a la Macho Man versus Ultimate Warrior at WrestleMania 7, which was like the best match on that card. And then Punk tries to go to the top of the cage. Rollins beats him there to it, and he suplexes him off the top of the cage. I mean, wow. Wow. And, these two, they just keep hitting each other with their finishing holds. They keep kicking out. And also at one point, it looked like Punk was going to go out of the cage. And then Rollins was like, "If you want to beat me, asshole, you got to take it. You say this is your house, you got to come and take it, asshole." And Punk just, boom, kneed him, hit him with the GTS, and he still kicked out. And, and Rollins even at one point even put Punk in a STF, like John Cena did to him at Elimination Chamber. He was like, die, die. And of course, Punk got out of it. And at one point, Rollins did a curb stop from the top rope right onto Punk. And he just sat down and he was just like, it's like, die, die, motherfucker. You heard him say motherfucker on there. I mean, wow. And then all of a sudden, who comes up? The yep, the OTC, the the tribal chief Roman Reigns came back, pulled Rollins out of there, and of course Rollins wins automatically, you know, and Roman Reigns just beat the shit out of Seth Rollins. Gave him the Superman punch, gave him the spear, and was gonna like even curb stomped him. Was even gonna curb stomp him right on the steel steps like he did to him at the Royal Rumble. But then the officials came in and stopped it. Paul Heyman came out at one time and was helping Punk up, and as he was helping him up, Roman Reigns gets in the cage, closes the door, beats the shit out of Punk, and even gives him a spear. I mean, and it's official. It's gonna. Well, they didn't officially announce it, but yep, it looks like it's heading that way. Three-way dance. Well, I should say three-way massacre because it's not going to be a dance. I mean, there ain't going to be no dance in this one. There's going to be some punching, kicking, and furniture getting thrown around. I mean, this is going to be a three-way brawl at WrestleMania, and I love this one. And plus it really, goes to tell the story of like whose side is Paul Heyman on? Is he on, the Tribal Chief side, or is he on CM Punk's side because him and CM Punk are friends, and CM Punk still has to call in that favor. So it's like, ooh, really getting interesting there at the road to WrestleMania, man. I mean, God, I love this time of year, man. This time of year, this is Christmas for us wrestling fans. This is Christmas for us. And yeah, I almost forgot. Cody Rhodes was there at the Garden as well, and running down John Cena, and the two of them are going to be under the same roof next Monday on Monday Night Raw, and in Brussels. Yep, Brussels, Belgium, home of Jean-Claude Van Damme. And it's going to be at 3 p.m. Yes, 3 p.m. live because they're in Europe, so it's going to be on at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And the only thing is, I can't be there because I'm going to be going to my classes that day. Why? Because not only that, we also got Braun Breaker versus Finn Balor for the Intercontinental Championship. We also got a street fight between Rey Fenix and Ludwig Kaiser. I mean, it's like, and Jey Uso versus Austin Theory. I mean, but the street fight match, and also my boy Braun Breaker. Oh man, I can't believe I'm gonna be missing it. And plus, I made a commitment to do something there, so yeah. But don't worry, I will. I'll definitely be home to watch it, and I will do a live stream of it. As I'll try to. Let's see. It starts at 3, so 1, 2. So they're probably gonna go till like 6:30. So I'm gonna try and aim for. Well, I guess we can aim for the same time. Like 10:30 ish. So yeah. It is what it is, guys. But yeah, that's what happened with tonight on Monday Night Raw. I mean, the cage match was just awesome. I mean, there was no blood, but you know what? I didn't mind it that much. I mean, I wish there was some blood. I mean, that It's what, because Punk and Rollins, they hate each other so much that there just has to be blood. Okay, but there was no blood in it, and it reminded me a little bit of Owen Hart and Bret Hart at SummerSlam '94. I mean, people call it the best cage match to not have any blood. Not one drop of blood was spilled in that match, and it's a great match, But I think that with Rollins and Punk, because like there's this real life animosity, and they're putting it into the storyline. There should have been blood. I mean, both men should have been bleeding buckets from their heads in that match, you know. But still, it was a great cage match. Roman Reigns came back, and now looking forward to NXT tomorrow night, which I will get into later. But first, we have some collected edition news here. Yep. Some graphic novels that are coming out either tomorrow or on the 12th, wherever you get your comics. So let's see where we go here. Up. Yep. So first, from Marvel Comics. Yeah, we go to the Marvel Comics one. We have Black Panther by Reginald Hudlin, Omnibus Volume 1. Collection includes Black Panther number 1 through 41. We have X-Men number 175 through 176. Black Panther Annual from 2008, number 1. Black Panther 2009, number 1 through 6. Captain America and Black Panther Flags of Our Fathers from 2010, number 1 through 4. Black Panther Saga 2008. Black Panther Annual from 2018, number 1. Sea Story. So if you're a fan of Black Panther, you're definitely going to want to get this. Also, just in time, as Daredevil Born Again has dropped. I've seen the first 2 episodes. I'll talk about that later as well. We have Daredevil by Nocenti and Romita Jr., Volume 1. Yep, this is Volume 1 of their run on Daredevil. And some say second best, next to Frank Miller. The collection includes Daredevil number 234 to 266, and we have Punisher number 10 from 1987. So this actually looks pretty good, and I'm actually thinking about getting this as well. Next, we have Doctor Strange, Master of the Mystic Arts Omnibus Volume 1. Collection includes Marvel Premiere numbers 3 through 14. Doctor Strange, number 1 through 22 from 1974. And we have the annual Doctor Strange number 1 from 1976. And the Tomb of Dracula number 44 from 1972. So yeah, so this is more like this is like the beginning of Doctor Strange, when he first started appearing in comics and stuff. So yeah, if you're a Doctor Strange fan, I mean, go ahead and read it. Go and pick it up. Next we have Spider-Man Miles Morales, Hero in Training. That is the modern era collection. Includes Ultimate Comics Spider-Man from 2011, number 1 through 12. Spider-Man 2012, number 1 through 5. And material from Ultimate Fallout number 4. Alright. Next we have NYX, the New York version of the X-Men, the new generation of X-Men here. Don't really know much about them, but so anyways, NYX Volume 1, what comes next will be Marvelous. The collection includes NYX number 1 through 5 from 2004. So this is the early stories of them. Next, we have Thunderbolts, the saga of the Winter Soldier. Yep, Bucky Barnes. The collection includes Captain America from 2004, number 6, 8 through 9, 11 through 14. We have Winter Soldier, The Bitter March from 2014, number 1 through 5. And we have Winter Soldier from 2018, number 1 through 5. All right. And we have another Thunderbolts. We have Thunderbolts, the saga of Yelena Belova. Yep, the other Black Widow, the sister, the blonde one. Collection includes Black Widows number 1 through 3, Black Widow, yeah, from 1999, Black Widow 2001, number 1 through 3, Widowmakers, Red Guardian, and Yelena Belova from 2020, number 1, Winter Guard 2001, number 1 through 4, and from 2020, Black Widow number 7 through 10. And for all you X-Men fans, we have not one but two X-Men stories here. We have X-Men Homecoming, and the collection includes X-Men 1 through 6 from 2024. Then we have X-Men Age of Apocalypse Alpha. The collection includes Uncanny X-Men from 1981, number 320 to 321, X-Men number 40 through 41, Cable number 20, X-Men Alpha Generation Next number 1, Astonishing X-Men from 1995 number 1, Gambit and the Externals, number 1. Weapon X, number 1 from 1995. X Factor 1. X Man, yeah, the number 1. Excalibur, number 1. Amazing X-Men from 1995, number 1. And X-Men Age of Apocalypse Ashkan Edition. Wow. So there you go. So yeah, we're gonna get into the DC collection later, and so there have been rumors of Becky Lynch coming back, and yeah, we're gonna get into some wrestling news here. And Becky Lynch. Apparently, she'll be joining a stable. She'll be recruited by The Rock. And now, this is a rumor, and, we don't know, what's going to happen. But, I mean, they want to do a thing where it's like, she joins The Rock, and, and it also creates tension between her and Seth Rollins, because Seth Rollins does not like The Rock, and Seth Rollins, you know, is considered a friend of Cody's. And, personally, I wouldn't want to see this. I want to see Becky Lynch come back as a babyface. I want to see her and Rhea Ripley go at it. Also, I want to see her and Charlotte Flair go after the women's tag team titles, because, those two have apparently, like, in real life, they've kissed and made up. They're back to being good friends now. And because they're being good friends now, like, I really want to see the two of them, just go after the tag team titles. I really want to see this team, really go after the tag team titles, the women's tag team titles, but, we'll see what, we'll see what happens, down the line. And also, I wanted to give my thoughts on Carmella's interview on a podcast. Because we all know she got let go by WWE. They let her contract run out, and then she goes on and says, like, oh, they let me go because I was pregnant, because I'm a woman. And let me just say, that is complete and utter fucking bullshit, okay? Because now, look, we all know that she has club foot or dead foot, whatever the medical term is. So, it's a nerve damage in her foot that she got during her pregnancy, because she had a really difficult pregnancy. And, she just had a difficult pregnancy. But, and I can see if she said, like, well, that's not fair, like, I told them to give me some time and blah, 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 blah. Okay, I could probably see that, a little bit of it, but if you're, if they can't use you, if you have no real timeline of when you're going to come back, then it's like, well, they got to let you go, you know? I mean, I would still feel bad for Carmella and that situation, but still, WWE, regardless of who's, taking over the reins, it's still a business, as Solomon Monster said it best, the week before, last week, about some of the layoffs, is that, it's still a company. I mean, just like any other company, it doesn't really care about you. I mean, they like to say, like, oh, we're a family, and yeah, people get along better now, and I'm sure the vibe is much better, but at the end of the day, they're still a company. They have to make money. They don't give a fuck about you. They only care about you until you're no longer useful to them. You know, the only thing is Triple H isn't that mean about it. But anyways, but for her to say like, oh, they let me go because I was pregnant and because I'm a woman, I mean, bullshit. Bull fucking shit. Okay? Alexa Bliss took time off when she was pregnant and now she's back. Becky Lynch took time off when she got pregnant, came back. Lacey Evans got pregnant, took time off, and came back. Even though she wasn't that big of a player, she was more of a Vince girl. Still, she came back. So that's not an excuse. That's a dumb excuse. And listen, and then she's saying like, "Oh, WWE, I was treated horribly." No, you weren't. Okay, they pushed you to the moon. They teamed you up with R-Truth. You won women's tag team titles. I mean, you were Mella in the Bank. Oh, and on top of that, on YouTube, they gave you a reality show when they tried to pitch it to A&E and the E Network, and they passed on it. So this whole thing of being mistreated, it's like bullshit. Okay, just bullshit. Okay, I don't believe her for a second. By the way, Carmella's real name is Leah Vandal. Her father was actually a wrestler too. He was a boxer and a pro wrestler. He actually was like the jobber. Her father was a jobber. He was like the guy you would see on WWE TV back in the '90s, who would always lose. In fact, he actually wrestled Scott Hall, aka Razor Ramon. Yeah, when Scott Hall appeared as Razor Ramon on WWE Superstars when Razor made his television debut. You can go back and watch that old episode. But, Leah, I mean, we can start calling her Leah now. I mean, Leah, I have no respect for her. I have no respect for her. And if anybody is going to come after me saying, like, oh, you're degrading a woman and she just got fired, it's like, no. Okay? She's dumping on a company that pushed her to the moon, that tried to give her everything, and now she's saying, oh, I was treated badly. No. You got to push to the moon. You didn't have a timetable of when you were going to come back. I mean, personally, I would have loved to see her do commentary just like, her husband Corey, and I'll get to Corey in a minute. But, because it's like, okay, she can't wrestle, she has dead foot. Okay, let her, be behind a desk, and, call the matches. She can do that, But, she burned a bridge. So WWE's just like, okay, fuck this broad. We'll let her contract run out. See ya. And on top of that, she runs her mouth and, burns a bridge, and now WWE's not going to take her back. And she's going to wonder why, like, oh, why am I not in the Hall of Fame? And why don't I get brought back for this? Yeah, because you ran your mouth and blaming people because, blaming, the company for your firing because you were pregnant. No, WWE has done some fucked up shit over the years, or the Vince McMahon regime, and there's been a little bit of some fucked up stuff, going under Triple H's regime. I mean, it's not bad as Vince's though, but as a whole, WWE has done some fucked up shit over the years, and there have been times I've been angry at the company, and there are times I'm just like, fuck this company. But you know what? Firing, getting fired because you're a woman who was pregnant, no bullshit. Not buying it. Okay, so Leah Vendel, Carmella, whatever she wants to call herself, no respect for her after this. None. None. Okay? Until she apologizes and says, like, oh, I'm sorry, and da da da. No. No respect for her. And now, WWE, I mean, look, it's only going to be a matter of time before they fire Corey Graves. Because Corey is already skidding on thin ice. He got demoted back to NXT. He didn't like it. Then, ran his mouth on, like, Twitter, I think it was. Then he says, like, oh, I was just trying to reunite a feud. And, I mean, because there have been rumors. I mean, there have been rumors for a few years now that he wants to get back in the ring. I mean, clearly he does want to get back in the ring. And I understand being demoted from, the main roster shows to NXT. I mean, it's still NXT. NXT is hot as it ever is, especially with the women's division. I mean, it's like at this point, it's like, dude, you still have a job, okay? Yeah, you got to go back to where you started, but you know what? Those are the breaks. And now your woman is running her mouth saying, "Oh, we were mistreated." It's like, dude, get your woman in check, okay? Get your woman in check, okay? And for all you guys are gonna be like, "Oh, how dare you? You don't tell a woman where her place is." Yeah, fuck you. Okay, fuck you. I said what I said. Okay, and watch. It'll only be a matter of time before he gets canned as well. Because I can see Triple H being like, you know what? Fuck both of these guys. Let this guy go. Give him his walking papers. You know, because let me tell you something. AEW is not gonna want to do anything with these guys. I mean, AEW does not want these two. So if you people who think, well, maybe they'll go over to AEW and they'll start over again, yeah, no, not happening. Okay, not happening. And plus, Mercedes Monet, Mercedes doesn't like Carmella. I mean, there's actually a real life feud between these two. These two have accused each other of stealing each other's gimmicks. So, yeah, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. So, those are my 2 cents on the matter, and we're going to get on to a little more positive news. As I mentioned before, NXT will be at the theater in Madison Square Garden. Yep, the theater, which is separate. I mean, it's close to Madison Square Garden, but it's a theater, and they've had a lot of boxing matches. They've had Glory Kickboxing. Yeah, I remember one Glory Kickboxing match that they had there, and Floyd Mayweather. Both Floyd Mayweather and Evander Holyfield were there. I was like, what? And I was a huge Mayweather fan. I was like, what? Oh man, Mayweather's there? Yeah, so. And this is going to be awesome. I mean, just to give you guys a rundown of the card here, if I can find it. I'm on WWE.com right now. Let's see. Well, they haven't put up the list of matches. I mean, we all know who's wrestling there, but yeah, nah, what the hell. So tomorrow we got Ethan Page and we got Javon Evans in a street fight. I mean, that's gonna be awesome. That's gonna be a knockdown, drag out street fight. Cannot wait to see that. Also, the LFG coaches are going to be there. So, yep, we have Mickey James, Booker T. Of course, Booker T is always there. You know, he's always doing commentary on NXT. And we also have The Undertaker, the Dead Man. Yep, so the Dead Man is going to be there as well. Can't wait to see that. Always good to see The Undertaker. And we also have a champion versus champion title for title match. It's the Ultimate Challenge. Yep. Julia versus Stephanie Vacure. Women's North American title on the line, as well as the NXT Women's World Championship. But there can be only one. I mean, I am looking forward to it. I mean, the women's division down there in NXT is just awesome, and especially with Julia and Stephanie Vacure, and now they got Jordan Grace. I mean, also Jordan Grace is going to be taking on Roxanne Perez as well, so that's going to be an awesome match. I mean, but those two titles, I mean, like there's going to be like one undisputed champion. I'm looking forward to this. And the rumor is that Julia is banged up, so they're gonna do this match now, and then they're gonna give her some time off. And if it is true, I mean, yeah, you gotta let her rest, and stuff like that, heal up. I mean, granted, it's gonna suck. We're not gonna get that match on WrestleMania weekend for Stand and Deliver, but it is what it is, and but I am looking forward to this match. I am gonna sit there, and I'm just gonna watch this match. I mean, I cannot wait for it. And finally, in some wrestling news, it was announced on Friday on SmackDown. Lex Luger, the total package, will finally be getting into the WWE Hall of Fame, which is amazing. I mean, way overdue. I mean, of course, under the Vince McMahon regime, there was still some bad blood. Even though Lex, later on got like a Legends contract, a Legends deal, and you did that little thing on AEW, on AE, I should say, on A&E for a while. That biographies show that they were doing for WWE. Um, it was kind of looking like for a while Lex Luger wasn't going to get into the Hall of Fame, but now he now he is. And was Lex Luger the best wrestler? No, I mean, but he did have some good matches. I mean, it kind of depended on who he was in the ring with. I mean, some of the matches he had with Sting were great. I mean, their best one was Super Brawl 2. The 2 out of 3 falls match with Ron Simmons at Halloween Havoc 91. That was a good one. He had great matches with Ric Flair in 88 and 89. The one at Wrestle War 90, the Steel Cage match, that's considered like the best match in the rivalry. And also there was the night that he won the world title on Nitro when he beat Hogan. I mean, pretty much people remember more the moment than the match. I remember the match. It was pretty good. Not great, but good. But the moment was great. Lex Luger finally, beating Hulk Hogan after almost a year title reign, and that was like I think that was like the 100th episode of Nitro. Yeah, the 100th episode of Nitro, and it gets him that torture rack, and Tony Schiavone, on commentary goes, "They're standing in Detroit," and Mike Tenay's going, "Yes," and Hogan, taps out, and the fans were just going wild. I mean, so. But yeah, I mean, Lex Luger definitely deserving of the Hall of Fame, and I'm glad that he's getting it while he's still alive. And so he joins Michelle McCool and Triple H. The Natural Disasters have been rumored to go into the Hall of Fame. So is Sid Vicious. I mean, I really hope Sid gets in this year, because last year he passed away, and it was really a shame, But I really hope Sid gets in this year as well. So that's it for wrestling news. Now we're going to get into the collected editions. For DC Comics coming out this week, We have Detective Comics, Gotham Nocturne, Act 3. Yep, Batman. Collection includes Detective Comics number 1081 to 1089. Next, we have DC Finest Suicide Squad Trial by Fire. Collection includes Suicide Squad number 1 through 10, Secret Origins number 14, Detective Comics number 582, The Fury of Firestorm number 62 to 64, Firestorm, The Nuclear Man Annual number 5, Legends number 1 through 6, and Millennium number 4. So this is like the early days of the Suicide Squad when they first, when they first started and stuff. So, and actually, I am kind of interested in this. I mean, I'm still reading, as far as DC Finest, like I'm still reading the Teen Titans one, the Judas Contract. I actually haven't made it yet to the actual Judas Contract storyline, but it's still pretty good. I mean, these DC is coming out with some real good stuff lately. Between the DC Finest and the Compact books, they're coming out with some good shit. Next, we have Deadman Omnibus, uh, the 2025 edition. Um, don't know what to say. I mean, they didn't list, what was in there. But, wait, did they? Oh, yeah, they did. Collection. No, wait, they didn't. Sorry. So, but I don't know much about Deadman, but go ahead and pick it up. Next, we have Gotham Sirens, Trigger Happy. Yep, Gotham Sirens. That's Harley Quinn, Poison Ivy, and Catwoman. Collection includes Gotham City Sirens number 1 through 4. Yep, so go pick that up. Next, we have Green Arrow, Volume 3, Against the Wall. The collection includes Green Arrow number 13 through 16, Green Arrow 2024, Annual number 1, and Green Arrow 350. And next, we have another Green Arrow one, Green Arrow Archer's Quest, Omnibus Volume 1. And this one is by Kevin Smith. Yes, the Kevin Smith, the movie director and comic book fan. He's actually written some stories as well for both Marvel and DC. Collection includes Green Lantern number 162 to 164, Green Arrow number 1 through 39, Green Arrow Secret Files and Origins number 1. So definitely go pick that up. Next is My Adventures with Superman. Yep, this is the graphic novel based off the animated show. I actually haven't watched the animated show. I've watched like previews of it. I've been meaning to watch that, but I will soon. Next we have Superman 78. This is the trade paperback edition, and the collection includes Superman 78 number 1 through 12. I haven't read this, but I heard it's pretty good. It's from the same people. It's kind of like Batman 89, so Superman 78, Christopher Reeves. And finally, we have Mystic U Freshman Year Enchantments. This one is with Zatanna. And, well, if you're a fan of Zatanna, I'm not really much of a fan. I mean, I know of her from the one appearance on Batman the Animated Series and her appearance in Justice League. But if you're a fan of Zatanna's, I mean, definitely, go pick that up. Yeah, definitely go pick it up. Now, some comic news. I did watch Daredevil Born Again. I saw the first 2 episodes, and to be honest with you, I didn't. I've seen I saw clips of the original Daredevil series on Netflix, but I wasn't really watching that. I did, however, watch the Netflix series with the Punisher, and that was awesome. You know, because the Punisher came from that, and you know, I thought that was great. They should have never canceled that. And also, by the way, there's John Baratheon. I hope I pronounced his name right. He's going to be doing a Punisher special. There's going to be a special on the Punisher coming out to on Disney Plus. So I'm really looking forward to that. But anyway, and also he does appear later on in the season of Daredevil Born Again. But anyways, I saw the first two episodes and they were just amazing. You know, because in here, you know, Foggy Nelson dies. By the way, if you haven't watched the first two episodes, you might want to fast forward through this. You know, giving a little bit of spoilers. So Foggy Nelson dies, and you know Daredevil tried to save him and just couldn't. And now Matt Murdock, you know, he tries to be more of a lawyer. You know, he tries to leave Daredevil behind, but then Wilson Fisk becomes the mayor of New York, and he's trying to write a law where it bans, you know, vigilantes, and you know, and in the sec, I mean, in this, and then you know, Daredevil he starts to fall in love, and but then he kind of reverts a little back to his old ways, you know, and like at the end of the second episode, like he beat up these two corrupt cops who were trying to kill the, you know, this guy who was a witness to this other hero, White Tiger, who tried to, you know, stop these two cops from bullying, you know, from beating down this guy, and actually he accidentally killed one cop, threw him into a train, and so I mean the first two episodes they were very good. You know, I mean it's like you know Matt Murdock, you know, even after a year after Foggy's death, like he really tries to like not be Daredevil anymore, and you know New York kind of goes to crime, and people are wondering what happened to Daredevil and stuff like that. I mean, but you know it's like that old thing in The Godfather. You know, just want to think I'm out. They pull me back in. You know, it just keeps pulling them back in. You know, I mean that's the whole thing with superheroes in general. It's like just when they think they're out, something always keeps pulling them back in. But I and Wilson Fisk he hasn't really changed. I mean, he actually blackmails you know like one police commissioner to stay on the force, and you know so we know that he's really not what he's cracked up to be. I mean, for a while it kind of looks like, well, you know, he really does want to change, you know, but then you see this one thing, you know, and it's just like, yeah, he's still a scumbag, you know. So it's all gonna culminate in the end, but definitely go watch it. I mean, it's great. I don't know when the new episodes. I think it's weekly though, but as soon as the third episode you know, comes up, I'm definitely gonna let you guys know how I feel about it. I mean, it's just awesome, you know. I mean, just really awesome. And I'm trying to get caught up with going back to the old Daredevil series as well. So, and finally, this is the collected edition for the indies. We have the EC Comics Archives, The Haunt of Fear, Volume 5, and the collection. This one includes Haunt of Fear, number 25 through 28. So, pretty much short, but if you're a fan of the Haunt of Fear comics, and if you already have volumes 4, 3, 2, and 1, then I think you'll still enjoy this. We also have Marvel Lovers. That is the art edition. You know, you see a lot of you know comic book art from Marvel artists from back in the day, including Frank Miller. So you're definitely gonna want to pick that up if you love the artwork from Marvel Comics. Next, we have the Thunder, Thunder, Thundercats, Thundercats Chitara. That is coming out this week as well. So if you're a fan of Thundercats, definitely go pick that up. And finally, we have Red Sonja and Vampirella meets Betty and Veronica Volume 2. Haven't read Volume 1, but, yep. If you're afraid of that, please go ahead and get it. And now we're gonna go into my top tens. First, for wrestling, we have the top 10 WrestleMania World Title matches. Yep, this is my top 10 here. Yep, all the top 10s are going to be WrestleMania based until WrestleMania. Coming in at number 10, we have Hulk Hogan versus King Kong Bundy in the Steel Cage. Uh, of course, on Saturday night's main event, King Kong Bundy injured Hulk Hogan after, during his match with Pedro Morales. He injured his ribs, and they did a thing where in Arizona where it's like they gave the hospital to, number to the hospital, call Hulk Hogan. And actually, I talked to a person on the Wisdom app who talked about, I tried to get through to Hulk Hogan into the hospital because I really wanted the Hulkster to get better and stuff. So, yeah, and Hulk Hogan was still pretty hot at the time. And he went into the match with bruised ribs. And this was at the WrestleMania 2 where they broadcast WrestleMania from 3 different locations, Nassau Coliseum, New York. They had Piper and Mr. T in a boxing match as the main event. In Chicago, they had the British Bulldogs against the Dream Team for their main event. And for this one, Los Angeles, it was Hogan and Bundy in the cage. And not only was this the first WrestleMania to have a steel cage match, but it was the first appearance of the famous Blue Bar steel cage. Because for a while, for the longest time, WWE, WWF at this time, they were using the Chingling fence, the old school Chingling fence, and then they brought in these big blue bars, which was more easy to climb. But the thing is that excuse me, unlike the chain link fence, it didn't have much of a spring or give. So like when you got smashed into that, your face smashed into it. Oh man, it hurt like a bitch. Yeah, and a lot of wrestlers talked about that. They said like, yeah, I mean, it really hurt. It was really painful going into that. You know, and but the match was pretty good. Bundy got busted open, and Hogan, slammed him. Also, Jesse Ventura was on commentary with Lord Alfred Hayes and Elvira, which was awesome as well. And Elvira, like that was her first like step into pro wrestling. She would later do like the commercials for Halloween Havoc in 1990 and 1991. You can go on YouTube and go look at them. So next, we go to next year's WrestleMania, coming in at number 9. Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant. I know a lot of people might want to kill me for this, for putting it at number 9, but hey, it's my list. And plus, as I always say, wrestling is objective. So of course, Andre the Giant, Hulk Hogan, this wasn't really the first time they had wrestled each other. They wrestled each other back in the late 70s and early 80s. They had a match at Shea Stadium, which was, their match was like, damn. Oh, wait. Sorry, it says that my connection was breaking up there, but my connection's good. Okay. Uh, they had a match at Shea Stadium. It was on the undercard of Bruno Sammartino and Larry Zbyszko in a steel cage. That's when we saw Hogan slam Andre the Giant. Cut to many years later, Hogan and Andre, they also met up again in the AWA. And then back in WWF, Hogan was champion at the time. And the thing is that Andre the Giant was undefeated, which of course we all know is BS. Earlier in his career, he had been pinned and stuff. And they say like, Andre the Giant has been undefeated for many years and he was never given a title shot. And then we had that infamous segment on Piper's Pit, Andre does the, look at me while I'm talking to you. I am charging you to a world title match at WrestleMania. and pulls apart Hogan's cross and his shirt. And, Piper, he's telling him, "Are you going to wrestle in our main event? Yes or no? What's it going to be?" And Hogan goes, "Yes! Yes!" And the crowd just went wild. And also going into that match, Andre had a bad back. Because of his condition. I forget the term for it. When because of his tall height and stuff. But but then over the years, like his back started to really go, and he actually had to after WrestleMania. He had to have surgery. Took some time off, and he actually shrunk down an inch, too. And both guys' backs were actually pretty messed up after this because when Hogan did like the famous the body slam heard him around the world. You know, Hogan's back really gave out. He had to get surgery. I mean, he had to get surgery himself. Because Andre weighed more than he did when they fought at Shea Stadium. But it was the match. I personally think the match is an awesome match. A lot of people say like, well, it's not really that great of a match. It's one of those matches where it's like you remember the moment more than you remember the actual match. But I do. It was a terrific match, and actually, I rented WrestleMania 3 from a Blockbuster years ago as a kid. And I actually talked about that on Tuesday's episode. Um, when doing Ricky the Dragon Steamboat and Macho Man Randy Savage. Yeah, and it's still an amazing match, an amazing moment, and it's one of the best, if not the best, moments ever in the history of WrestleMania. Coming in at number 8, we have the triple threat match from WrestleMania 20 for the world title. Triple H versus the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels versus Chris Benoit. So at the Royal Rumble and let's see, yeah. So at the Royal Rumble, that year, Chris Benoit was the first man in, and the last man to survive it. He won the Royal Rumble, and on that same night, Shawn Michaels and Triple H they had a tremendous last man standing match, which ended in a draw because neither one of these men could get up. And then Shawn Michaels came out on Raw that one night and super kicked Chris Benoit and signed his name on the contract when it was supposed to be Benoit and Triple H. But then Stone Cold Steve Austin, being the sheriff at this time, said, we're going to make this. Well, no, I don't. No, he wasn't the sheriff. He was still the general manager. But he said, we're going to make it a triple threat match. And and the triple threat match was just awesome. It was that was another one of those matches that I used to watch a lot on the Chris Benoit Hard Knocks DVD, and it was just a great match that told a story because you had Triple H, the long reigning champion, the dominant champion, the cerebral assassin, in a feud with Shawn Michaels, his former DX buddy, and Shawn Michaels, like he's a year into his comeback and he wants to be the world champion again. And you had Chris Benoit, who was like he was a world champion in WCW, but it felt more like a hollow title victory, because he left WCW for like the next day. But here's a guy who's always been like a like a United States champion, tag champion, Intercontinental champion, but in the WWE he never won the big one, and now he's getting his opportunity to win the big one, and he just fights and claws. He even gets double suplex to a table, and yet he gets Triple H in that crippler crossface, and he finally wins it. He finally wins the world title, you know, and it was a great moment because the confetti came down, and it was like all those years, in ECW, WCW, New Japan, wrestling in Europe and Mexico, also in Canada for Stampede Wrestling, you know, and finally he won the world title. He finally won it, and then he celebrates in the ring with Eddie Guerrero. And those are two guys who in wrestling, they were considered like the vanilla midgets, and they were handed nothing. They had to fight for everything they had to get, and they reached the pinnacle of that moment. And I know it's overshadowed because of what happened later with Benoit, but it's still a great match. It's still a great moment. I can still watch that without thinking about what happened later, and I've already said my thing on it, so I'm not going to go deep into that. So, next, coming in at number 7, the Mega Powers explode. Yep, WrestleMania 5, Macho Man Randy Savage versus Hulk Hogan. Macho Man wins the world title at WrestleMania 4 in the tournament. Him and Hogan become the Mega Powers. Then Macho Man gets jealous. He thinks that Hogan is lusting after Elizabeth. Those eyes have lust for Elizabeth. And I just hurt my throat there. And I mean, it told a great story. These two at this time, 1989, 88, 89, two of the most powerful forces, Macho Madness and Hulkamania. It's like who's gonna win, and had that big fight feel. And I remember, actually, the first time I saw WrestleMania 5, my auntie Ree, love you, Auntie Ree, love you, who was a wrestling fan at the time, she gave me a blank VHS tape of that, and that's when I was getting into wrestling. And I remember watching that match just over and over and over again, and it was great. And it's still great to this day. I mean, you got Hogan bleeding, and Elizabeth not being in the corner of either one of them, and a few times it looked like Macho Man was going to hit Elizabeth, and then Hogan kicked out of the flying elbow drop, boot to the face, leg drop, wins the match. I mean, it's an awesome match. I mean, out of all the matches they've had against each other, even in the early, during Randy's, early years in WWF when he was Intercontinental Champion, they wrestled each other at the Boston Garden, which, by the way, go back and watch because those are great matches too. But in their matches later in WCW, out of all the matches they've had against each other, this was their best match. I mean, best match against each other. I mean, period, point blank. Look back at all those matches, and I guarantee you'll even agree with me that WrestleMania 5 was their best match. Coming up next, at the number 6 spot, from WrestleMania 6, champion versus champion. Title for title. It's the ultimate challenge. Yep. Ultimate Warrior versus Hulk Hogan. Yep, Ultimate Warrior at this time, two-time Intercontinental Champion. Hulk Hogan at this time, two-time WWF Champion. But there could be only one. I mean, and people in Toronto Skydome, which is now the Rogers Centre in Toronto, Canada, I mean, fans were really split, because you had Warrior Wellness, you had Hulkamania, another two of the most powerful forces at that time, and they were just gonna clash. I mean, it was like that's straight out of a comic book too. I mean, that's Superman versus Shazam. That's Thor versus the Incredible Hulk. I mean, and the Ultimate Warrior, just like Hulk Hogan, he's not known as a great wrestler, but he put on good matches too. I mean, look at it. The matches he had against Rick Rude. I mean, they had a match at WrestleMania 5 the previous year, which was good. But their other matches at SummerSlam would be better. The one at SummerSlam 89, and then the cage match at SummerSlam 90. I mean, and then Warrior going on to have like a phenomenal match at WrestleMania 7 against Macho Man. I mean, that was awesome too. But this match, man, I mean, these two just going back and forth and back and forth. And just when we thought Hogan was going to win, Warrior rolls out of the way, does the splash, got the 1, 2, 3, and the fans went wild. I mean, the Ultimate Warrior finally reaching the top, with both belts. And it's a great match, definitely worth looking back at as well. Coming in at Number 5 from WrestleMania 8, Ric Flair versus the Macho Man Randy Savage. Yep, the she was yours. I mean, she was mine before she was yours. And no, we all know the backstory behind this. I said it in the last countdown, but the match was just excellent. It was a real fight. It told a good story. A Macho Man defending the honor of Elizabeth. Mr. Perfect getting involved. Ric Flair bleeding, and yeah, when they actually weren't supposed to bleed. And then Flair. He bled during the match, and I and they say that when he went to the back, Vince McMahon, saw him in the back, and he said, "You will never learn." Yep, Flair just never learns. Flair is Flair. And also, we saw the WrestleMania debut of Shane McMahon in that match. He was one of the officials that was walking down with Elizabeth. When Elizabeth tried to walk out there and help Randy, and that was a young Shane McMahon. A young Shane McMahon. Wow. You know, so that's also worth going back and watching as well. Coming in next at number 4, a world title match that is near and dear to my heart. We have JBL versus John Cena from WrestleMania 21. This is for the WWE Championship. And I remember watching this with my friend Kenny Benesh. By the way, shout out to my boy Kenny. Love you, man. We haven't talked in a while, but we got to talk. So we got to meet up and catch up and all that stuff. My best friend from high school, man. Love that dude. And I remember watching it with him, and it was just incredible. Because we were both huge John Cena fans, and I was a huge John Cena fan at that time too. I mean, and seeing him finally win the big one, win his first world championship there, it was just awesome. And it was like this new generation of wrestlers, from OVW, like Randy Orton was coming up, and so was Shelton Benjamin, and I mean Brock Lesnar had his time as well, but John Cena now, getting his time. It was just incredible to watch. It was still a great moment, and I'll never forget that moment. And coming in at number 3, this is the match we also saw at WrestleMania 21, Triple H versus Batista. Yep, the end of the reign of terror for Triple H. Yeah, Triple H's reign of terror on Monday Night Raw ended with Batista beating Triple H. They try to get Batista to go to SmackDown, and after winning the Royal Rumble, but unfortunately, it did not happen. Batista turned on Evolution, which was Ric Flair and Triple H, and now, he goes after Triple H. He beats Triple H finally for the world title. They would have 2 more matches against each other, and Batista, beat him clean. And, like, again, like this new generation of wrestlers, 2 of the biggest stars at this time are now, champions, on their separate brands. And their eras, started to begin right at the same time. And I was a huge fan of Batista, especially that entrance. You come out with the fireworks and doing the fake machine gun, doing the fake grenade, boom. I used to do that all the time when he would do that. You know what I'm saying? So, but that was a great title match. Definitely worth looking at as well. Coming in at number 2 from WrestleMania 30, the triple threat match between Randy Orton and Batista versus Daniel Bryan. Yep, the Miracle on Bourbon Street. What more can you say? It was, the ultimate, Rocky story. You talk about Rocky, Rocky stories in pro wrestling, the underdog. That was at that time the ultimate Rocky story. Daniel Bryan, not winning the big one, or if he would win the big one, they would strip it of him. They would, do everything to screw him. He goes through Triple H first in the first match, injures his shoulder. Then, goes out in the triple threat match. He gets taken out. He's on a stretcher, but then he comes back. He's not being denied. Finally wins the title. And a big celebration. Everybody doing the yes, 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 yes. I mean, Daniel Bryan. Bryan. His real name Bryan Danielson. I mean, he he's one of the biggest, if not the biggest, underdog stories, and for him to win that, that was just incredible. He really is an inspiration for a lot of wrestlers, and, he's living proof that, you can be any size, you know, in wrestling, and still be world champion as long as you're willing to bust your ass. And that man for years busted his ass. Busted his ass in the independents, busted his ass in Japan, you know, and being told like, oh, he's too vanilla. Yeah, he's a great wrestler, but he has no personality. Yeah, he can do all these MMA moves and stuff like that, but he has a beard. He doesn't look like someone that the company would put the title on, and he proved it, man. And he is just amazing, and he was an amazing wrestler and stuff. And finally, at number one, from WrestleMania 12, Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels, the Iron Man match. I also talked about this in the last countdown. And, Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart, greatest WrestleMania match of all time. What more can I say about this that I already haven't said? You know, I mean, Shawn Michaels, achieving his boyhood dream, winning the title, going 60 minutes with Bret Hart. 60 plus minutes because they went into overtime. But still, just a tremendous match. That's one of those wrestling matches like I never get tired of watching. That Ricky the Dragon Steamboat and Ric Flair from Chi-Town Rumble '89. There's a whole bunch of matches I never get tired of watching, and I'll do a countdown show on that later. You know, but that's one of those matches I never get tired of watching it. In fact, when I had the WrestleMania 12 VHS tape, that was the match I would watch over and over and over again. I never got tired of watching that. And I was a huge Shawn Michaels fan. Still am a huge fan of Shawn Michaels. I like Bret Hart too, but Shawn Michaels was my guy. Shawn Michaels was the reason why I got into pro wrestling. Why I became a fan. And that match with Bret, just tremendous. That is a work of art. Anybody who can sit through 60, an hour and some change of watching that match and still not become a wrestling fan, you have no soul. Okay? If you do that, not only do you not have no soul, we can't be friends. I'm sorry, we can't be friends. We just cannot be friends. Sorry. So there's my list. And finally, for comics, the top 10 badass superheroes. Yeah, these are the badasses. People I consider badasses, at least. Number 10, Daredevil. Of course, being blind at 8 years old, and then becoming a badass by learning martial arts from a guy named Styx, who's also blind. Being a lawyer, and being a lawyer by day and by night a crime fighter. And blind but can still kick your ass. That's a badass, really. Really a badass. Even taking it to a guy like the Kingpin who outweighs him. Taking all the blows and stuff like that, and he could still get up and fight. He definitely is his father's son. He really is a badass. Number 9, I put Nightwing, Dick Grayson, the original Robin. He is pretty badass. as Nightwing. When he does the screamo sticks. The yeah. I first saw that in Bruce Lee's Game of Death with Dan Inosoto, and and I remember watching the new Adventures of Batman, like the new Adventures, and seeing him there not only with the kendo sticks, but also just seeing the new haircut. He had like that, that mullet, that Jean Claude Van Damme had in Death. What was it? Was it Hard? Oh yeah, Hard to Kill. No wait, not Hard to Kill. No, that's Steven Seagal. Um, um, yeah, but anyways, but yeah, he had like that mullet, and and Nightwing in the comics and in the cartoon movies and stuff. I mean, he really is badass. I mean, the Screamo sticks. He's a more mature person trying to be his own man, getting up from underneath Batman's shadow. I mean, he truly is a badass. Number 8, we have Ghost Rider, Johnny Blaze. I mean, nothing against Danny Ketch. I mean, Danny Ketch is cool. I like Danny Ketch. Especially in the I haven't, and also to be honest, I haven't read much of Danny Ketch's Ghost Rider because I mean, I read a little bit of it with the Rise of the Midnight Sun storyline and stuff like that. But Johnny Blaze, the original Ghost Rider, I mean, he really is a badass. I mean, selling his soul to the devil and then becoming Ghost Rider, and then when he gets his soul back, he just becomes a badass motorcycle, cigarette smoking hero. And he's got that, that pump shotgun too. I mean, and also, go and read if you ever get a chance. Go order the Legacy of Blood series from from Marvel Comics, the Blaze Legacy of Blood comics. I have the original comics, and they're just awesome. They really did live up to the expectations that I had. So definitely go read that. Coming in at number 7, we have Robin, Damian Wayne. Yep, the son of Bruce Wayne. And this Robin is more badass because, he was raised by his mother, Talia al Ghul, and, his grandfather, Raish, and in the League of Assassins. And he was supposed to be, like, the ultimate assassin. He was trained from since he was a little kid, like 2 or 3 years old. He already knows how to use it. And then by the time he comes, like, 7 or 8 or whatever age he is when he finally meets Batman. He knows how to use a sword. He does martial arts. I mean, he's trained to be a killer. I mean, he's raised and trained to be a killer in the League of Assassins or League of Shadows, whatever they call themselves. But Batman, works with him. Trains him to, that hey, it's about catching bad guys, not about killing them. And you see Damien. He becomes a little more like his father, but at the same time, he's still badass. Because he knows how to use a sword and stuff like that. And for a kid his age, I mean, whoo wee, that is one badass kid, and he can hold his own against Batman too. That's what I like as well. You know, both physically and verbally. I mean, that's. I mean, other than Jason Todd, who wound up getting killed and then coming back to life as the Red Hood. I mean, I think he's like the only real Robin that really truly talks back to Batman. So that's what's awesome. Coming in at number 6, Deadpool. I mean, looking at the movies, I mean, Deadpool, yeah, he could be funny and stuff like that, make a lot of sex jokes and all that, but he's a badass because, like, he knows how to fight, his use of, swords and the guns, and also he has cool healing powers as well. And, watching the movies did make me read some of his comics, like, I have like this first real big story arc, Epic Collection, and it was just awesome. And and Deadpool, I mean, Deadpool is just awesome. I mean, also look at the one with Wolverine. Oh man, that was violent. So yeah, Deadpool coming in at number 6. Number 5, we have Wolverine, of course. Out of all the members of the X Men, he is the badass of the group. He's got claws inside his knuckles, and I mean, he's somebody who could also kill, as well. But but there are times when he doesn't kill as well. I mean, and plus, go read Weapon X. Like the origin of his story. I mean, oh man, just incredible. And also read his very first solo adventures. Like the first one with Chris Claremont and Frank Miller. I mean, that one is incredible too. He's got that rough voice too. I mean, when you watch X Men, and he's like, listen here, bub. It's like, whoa. Just incredible. Coming in at number 4, we have Spawn. Yep. And I mean, I knew of Spawn like from the movie, the Michael Jai White movie, but I didn't get into the comics. I mean, I knew who he was and stuff like that, and then I watched the Spawn animated series, and that was awesome. And I actually binge watched it a few times, and actually made me curious about his comic book origins. And I read his stories from the Spawn origins, and it is awesome. And I'm a fan of Spawn. I even have the the actual comic that McFarlane and Frank Miller worked on. Spawn number 11, and I'm about to read Batman and Spawn collector's edition. Haven't read it yet, but I am gonna read it. I am gonna read it this week, and I'm also trying to finish the Judas contract this week as well. Hopefully, I can do that. Coming in at number 3, Blade. I mean, I love Blade. I mean, even going back to his days in Tomb of Dracula. I've heard some people say like, well, it wasn't really a good Blade, but back then it was like black exploitation. So Marv Wolfman, he was borrowing from that. But even I found that amazing. I just love Tomb of Dracula. I love the old school Tomb of Dracula, and then I got a chance to read the Blade and the Night Stalkers. I mean, that was awesome as well, and then of course there's the movies. But it was actually the movies that really made me more curious about his comic book origins as well. I mean, after watching Blades 1, 2, and 3, and then I saw like I had the DVDs, and they talked about his history in the comics, and I really wanted to you know dive more into his origins in the comics. So I got like Tomb of Dracula. I got the old school Night Stalker comics. I have a few old school Blade solo comics that he did. That happened right after Night Stalkers. I'm still trying to get some. Some of them are expensive as shit, and some you can't find anymore. But I got that, and I mean, the Rise of the Midnight Sun storyline. I mean, Blade is just awesome. I love Blade. I mean, he's just so badass. And Marvel, please, please try to get this movie out soon. This new Blade movie out soon, because we need it. We need another Blade movie. It's way past overdue. So get right on it. Number 2, The Dark Knight, Batman. And of course, many of you who know me, know that I'm a Batman fan. You might be thinking, whoa, you put Batman at number 2, and you're such a Batman fan. Well, yes. I am a Batman fan, but I think there's someone that's even more badass than him. Who is that? More on that later. But Batman, I mean, total badass. I mean, like, yeah, he's a rich white guy, but you know what? He has, he has the Batmobile. He has gadgets. He knows like all different styles of martial arts. Uses that gravelly voice. The I'm Batman. And hides in the shadows and stuff like that. I mean, he is a fucking badass. He may be rich, but he's still a fucking badass, man. And even the Scott Snyder and Frank Miller versions of Batman, I mean, those are real. I mean, that's really Batman at his most badass. Year One, Dark Knight Returns, Court of Owls Saga, the All Star, All Star Batman. I haven't read, well, even right now, the Absolute Batman. I haven't read Black Mirror and some of the other stuff that Scott Snyder has done, but I'm gonna get to that eventually. But that Batman is just a freaking bad ass, and even the Jeff Loeb Batman. With the Haunted Night and Long Halloween. I haven't read Dark Victory, but I heard it's pretty good, and I'm gonna try and read that as well. But I mean, Batman, he is badass. I mean, yeah, there's the Adam West, TV show, and I still love that I still love it to this day. Sometimes I'll go back and watch a few episodes, but but that version of Batman, you know, the Dark Knight, that is the badass Batman, badass. And finally, at number one, the Punisher. I mean, a lot of people are going to say, like, yeah, the Punisher, all right. Yeah, I mean, because this is a guy who actually kills people. He kills criminals. I mean, back then, you couldn't have a guy like that as a hero. I mean, like, he appeared when he appeared in the Spider-Man comics. It's like he appeared once in a while and stuff like that. But he was still viewed as a villain, because it was like, he was judge, jury, and executioner. But then, the Marvel previews and then the Daredevil comics, he became like, uh, oh, jeez, I don't know why it keeps doing that. Saying that my cable connection is all like great, but okay, it's still working. But anyways, the Punisher, I mean, he eventually he just became more popular and popular, and then he got his own series. Circle of Blood is just awesome. It's the best Punisher story out there. I mean, Welcome Back Frank was good as well. I read that in high school, and I thought that was awesome. But Circle of Blood, oh man, like late '80s, early '90s Punisher, comics, they're still great. And also there was the Dolph Lundgren movie, the '89 movie, which I think that movie and the War Journal movie are two of the best Punisher movies ever. The one um, with Thomas Jane and then John Travolta. I liked it as a kid, but now when I look back on it, I was like, it's okay. I mean, it's not the best, but it's not the worst. You know, but of course, my all-time favorite is the Dolph Lundgren one because that was the first Punisher movie I saw. I watched it on TV one night, and I got the DVD. I actually rented it from Blockbuster too. I rented it from Blockbuster a few times, and it is a great fucking movie, man. Dolph Lundgren did such a bang up job in that movie, and you know, I mean, the Punisher. He is just awesome. And if they ever do, and putting this out there in the universe, I've been actually putting this out there in the universe for years, but I really hope this comes true. If they ever decide to do a Punisher movie, John Woo has to direct this. When you talk about amazing movies with guns, you got to get John Woo. Come on, The Killer, Hard Boiled, um, oh, Hard Target. Yeah, that was the name of the John Claude Van Damme movie. I forgot to mention. Yeah, I was trying to mention earlier. Hard Target. Yeah, John Claude Van Damme with a mullet and Hard Target. He was incredible, and Face Off, and also the one Silent Night. That was a good one too. John Woo. The master of the gun fu. That would be cool. Like a stylized Punisher who just like, gets gets guns and is just doing the, flying in the air like Chow Yun Fat. That is like awesome. I would love to see that. I would love to see that, and I hope they also one day do the Circle of Blood storyline. Because I think that's a cool storyline to do. That's one of the best story arcs that's never been used um, in movies as far as like superhero movies. But I really hope that they do that one day. So having said all that, it is way past midnight and way past my bedtime, folks, so I gotta go to bed. And that will do it for this show. And Tuesday, we're continuing our WrestleMania Tuesday, looking back at some classic matches from WrestleMania. So until then, this is Matthew Burris saying, Toodaloo, motherfuckers! Toodaloo, motherfucker. Toodaloo, motherfucker. Toodaloo.